How's it going, everybody? If you're new to my channel, on this series I make some sort of 3D printed lure that you guys can make for yourselves. So today I just drew this popper up. Really quick in Fusion 360. Now this is done, it works and not really swims. I guess pops fine. So it should catch fish just like this, but it's kind of boring. And remember kids, fishing lures aren't made to catch fish, they're made to catch fishermen, so we're gonna fix that. This is what I came up with. I added a fin on, made the eye hole a little bit bigger, and then added these nice spiky top fins and bottom fins to it, if you guys can see that. So I'm going to teach you guys how to make this for yourself, and you can download the file in the description to 3D print it for free. Alright, for printing instructions for this, it's pretty simple. You're going to want to put them face flat side down in the print bed. And supports are optional. I mean, the inside holes are going to come out a little crummy, but it's just cosmetic. It doesn't really matter. If you do use supports though, the only thing I would suggest is right here in the lip overhang, you want that to be as smooth as possible. So I would put a support blocker in there. Now for brand and color of filament, I don't really think that matters. But this lure is designed for PETG, and if you use something else, the density and the weighting might be off. I don't know. If you guys want to play with that, feel free, but it might not work out of the box. Now I'm printing this in a 0.12 layer height. You guys can do whatever you want. The important part is I'm using a wall count of 6 and top and bottom layer of 7. Now the bottom layer is going to give you enough meat for the threads on the screw eye to grab, and we just want to keep the density the same so this thing has the right float. I'm using 35% infill. That gave me plenty of strength. You guys should definitely use the same infill percentage. If you guys want to print this in the same exact material I'm using, it's Overture PETG white. This thing's about a 9-hour print-ish, depending on whether or not you use supports. And we're going to get into putting it together now. Okay, now that all our supports are cleaned out, there's a couple alignment holes here. You might have to drill those out a bit. You can use those if you want. They're designed to stick a piece of filament in there to align both halves better, but they're totally not necessary. So all we have to do to put these together is place in our 2 1/4-inch stainless steel ball bearings in these 2 holes. And you're going to use your choice of adhesive to glue this together. I'm using DevCon 2-ton epoxy. It's got a longer working time, but you could just use super glue, and you just squish them together and clamp them and wait for them to dry. Just want to make sure you get it around all the edges, because that's what's going to seal the bait together and keep all the water out. Alrighty folks, these harden up fine. Epoxy's dry now. It's been 24 hours, so it should be totally set. We're going to install the hook hangers now, so we're going to need a couple things. One is a drill bit to drill the pilot hole for the hook hangers. And here we have our hook hangers. I buy mine at Jan's Netcraft. I'm going to post a link to that in the description. These are 1 inch. That's way overkill for this, but I have a ton of them, so I'm going to use them. I'd buy something a little smaller because that's going to work for a lot of the other lures I'm making. Hint, hint, wink, wink. So you could probably get away with 3/4 inch for that. And the last thing we need is some sort of adhesive. I'm just using super glue. That's not going to hold the hook hanger in. That's just going to stop it from spinning and twisting out. Try to show this as best as I can, but we're just going to take our drill bit and drill all the holes where we want the hooks. Alright, now all we have to do is take our hook hanger and just put a little bit of glue on it. That's just going to hold the threads from spinning. And then twist it into our lure. Now you want to get this started by hand, but after that it really helps to use pliers to grab it and twist it. Now these are all installed. You could just paint this as is. I don't really think the fish care about layer lines, but I need a nice crisp thumbnail image for this. So I'm going to get rid of these layer lines. Now you could sand them all off, but screw that. So I'm just going to blast it with some filler primer, and that'll get rid of most of our layer lines. And then after that we're going to paint them and they'll be ready to fish. All right, so our final step left after priming the, well, second to final step, close though, is to paint them. Now, you guys could just print this in a solid color and not worry about it, or use any other method you would normally use for painting a 3D printed piece. If you want to make it look a little better than that, use spray paint, your wife's nail polish, anything that adds color. Now, I'm going to use an airbrush just because I have one. You don't need one. And I'm going to try to show that off as best as I can. But we're going to go for like a white on the bottom, silver, and then I'm going to paint each one a different color on the top. So I'm going to get into that now. Our next color is going to be silver for the bottom. And now it's time for the primary color for all of these. Alright, I'm no Picasso, and I suck at airbrushing, but these came out alright so far. One tip for the airbrush that I'm learning, because I'm learning this whole thing, no one really 3D prints lures right now, so, you know, we're learning together. But I've been working on these big saltwater baits too, and I was using a 0.3 millimeter nozzle for these, and it's way too small. So I bought a 0.5 one, and that's kind of big for small baits like this. So that's just something to watch out for. I got a little bit of overspray in the bottom trying to paint the fin, but it'll still catch fish. Now, since I'm such a nice guy, I threw in a stencil for this, if you guys want to download that. Now, this is way overkill. You guys could just make a stencil out of paper, but I'm going to post this online too if you want to use this. So we're just going to add some detail with some black on these lures. And I'm going to do that really quick. Then we're going to let that dry, and we're going to clear coat it. Alright, so these are all dried up now, or the paint's all dried. I also stuck the eyes in. Now the last step close to the last step is the clear coat. You could do a bunch of different things with this. You could spray it. I know most people paint epoxy onto it and then turn it. That's probably the strongest clear coat, but I'm way too lazy to do that. So we're going to do what's called, I guess, the dip method. This bottle's filled with what's called KB Diamond Coat. It's just a moisture dry epoxy. So all we have to do is dip this in slowly, pull it out, and then hang it up to dry. Alright, so now the clear coat's all dried, and I just threw on some size 2 hooks, and this is our final result. This is the red one. Now, all the tools needed to make these are going to be in the description below if you want to read through, and as I said in the beginning, this is going to be free to download. I encourage you guys to make one for yourself. We're going to test these out and go fishing with them one day soon to see how well they actually fish. I did test them before, just casting, and it does pop pretty good, so it should work fine. And that's going to be it for this video. If you guys want me to make something else, please suggest it down below. And let me know in the comments what I should name this thing. Thanks for watching.